Dean Devlin, co-writer and producer of Independence Day, once said, "You can leave it up to a Brit to write some of the most rousing and patriotic music in the history of American cinema." The Brit in question is David Arnold, who composed the film's score. I remember reading the quote when the movie was released in 1996, and it always stuck with me. I mean, what is patriotic music? What does it sound like? And how does it change the emotion of a scene when taken out of context? Let's dive in. The language of film music has evolved over the years into a type of melodic shorthand that audiences inherently understand. We just know that we're meant to root for this army versus this army. We also know that villains sound like this. And we know that heroes sound like this. So what does patriotic music sound like? I'll ask anyone around the globe, and you'll get a list something like this: snare drums, flute or a piccolo, and of course, big, bold brass. I'm talking tubas, trombones, and trumpets, baby. All instruments prominently used in military marches. In the US, we most commonly associate this musical style with John Philip Sousa, the man behind The Stars and Stripes Forever, also known as the National March of the United States. David Arnold's score is peppered with march-inspired themes. But the military march isn't something that's unique to the US, nor was it ever exclusive to the American military, which creates an interesting intersection of people from different cultures who view the same piece of music as patriotic, while also thinking about different countries entirely. What that means for cinema is that depending on where a film is made and its directly intended audience, the same story of a major battle or war could be presented in such a way that you root for one side over the other based purely on one thing: music. Because if you change the music, you change the context, and that can change your emotional response drastically. Let me show you an example. This is a clip from the famous 1934 Nazi propaganda film Triumph of the Will by Leni Riefenstahl. If you were raised after World War II, you almost certainly saw something like this in school. But here's the scary part. That's not the original music. This is. Remember, this is a film produced by the Nazis for the Nazi supporters with the sole purpose of projecting strength and stability. Freaky, right? Something about patriotic music being played over footage of a Nazi rally just feels wrong. That's better. But let's switch gears and end by having some fun with this premise. It's aliens versus humans.
Welcome to Earth.
Now everyone agrees that the humans were the heroes in Independence Day and the aliens were the villains. I mean, just look at the destruction of these skyscrapers in LA and New York City. Notice it's actually too horrifying for music. What the filmmakers are saying here is that no music can properly convey the level of trauma and devastation being wrought upon the human race in this sequence. Now let's look at it again with a few adjustments. As you can see, it's the same footage, only this time we hear the heroic music from later in the movie, the moment when humanity wins. But by placing it here, it changes the whole context of the scene, and you almost find yourself rooting for the aliens. Conversely, here's what the human victory sounds like from the aliens' perspective. No, you know what? That feels weird too. Let's just, yeah, okay. Ah, that's better. I don't care where you're from, but if you're human, that's patriotic right there. And if you don't agree, just think of it as propaganda for planet Earth. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it, and it was actually kind of based on a project that I did in college about film sound and the power of music, so it was really fun to revisit that and expand it into a full-length essay. I want to thank our first two patrons over on Patreon, Mel Irish and Sarah Reynolds. You guys are awesome. If you haven't yet, please check out our Patreon page and just see what we're all about. Every dollar that you contribute goes right back into the channel, and we really appreciate it. Until next time, this is One Last Edit.